Hey, my name is Mark Hawani. I'm the founder of Breakthrough Media. We help coaches launch, build, and scale their coaching business. And you've probably heard that you need to niche for your coaching business, especially if you're just starting out. And by the end of this video, you'll have a clear plan, a step-by-step system on how to actually figure out your niche. And when you figure out your niche, you'll feel a complete feeling of alignment within you and your coaching business. And again, this is specifically if you're just starting out, you're finding your ground, maybe you're within your first year or two or three, and you haven't got to that $1 million a year mark yet, but that's what you're working towards. And like I said, especially if you're just starting out. Now here's why you want to figure out your niche, because in this day and age, it is so difficult to stand out from the crowd that you can get pretty much any kind of result that you want these days if you're looking for something online, if you're looking for a service. There are people out there that are delivering really good results. They are going above and beyond what they're promising and what they're delivering for clients. When you pick a niche, it's much easier to dominate that niche. All the big companies out there all started out with a particular niche and then they expanded. And the reason this is so important is because if you don't do this, then you just become like everyone else. If you're targeting everyone, you're targeting no one. That's what it comes down to. I learned this the hard way, unfortunately. I was very stubborn and I chose to run an event, a seminar that's helping business owners grow, and I called it the Business Growth Formula. Now, I was targeting all kinds of business owners. The first seminar I ran actually produced a really good return on investment. That was my first seminar that I ran, and that was really successful. I had 30 people in the room from an ad campaign that I ran. Out of those 30 people, 3 people ended up buying my high ticket program that I was selling. Out of those 3 people, one of them actually renewed for a year, and I'm still in contact with him today after many years of working with him and friendship now. That was my first Business Growth Formula seminar. I got excited, and so I ramped it up and I ended up attempting to scale that. And what happened was I spent almost $15,000 for one campaign, for one seminar in Sydney, and I had about 50 people in the room. It was a half-day seminar and businesses from all walks of life, right? And again, like I'm saying, I was just starting out. And so I haven't established my business yet. And so I had 50 people in the room that got so much value out of the seminar that I presented. It was a half-day event and I gave them so much value. You know what happened at the end? You know how many people purchased after spending more than almost $15,000 on the event, on the Facebook campaign itself? Not one person purchased. And I was heartbroken. I remember driving home from that seminar and I was like, I'm gonna sell everything, I'm gonna move to Thailand. I was done and it was devastating. By the time I got home, I got myself out of that mindset. It didn't last long, but I learned my lesson and I want to save you that lesson. I'll save you $15,000 of trial and error with just picking a specific niche. Now, I'm going to teach you a couple of ways on how to do that. But first, I want to give you kind of a background as to the categories that you can go into and the history of them. So if you look back maybe 30, 40, 50 years ago, there were 3 main categories or niches that you can specialize in. Number 1, you can help people get better with their health. Number 2, you can help people with their relationship. Number 3, you can help people with their wealth, make more money, right? So those were the 3 main categories where coaches would specialize in. And if you've read the book Red Ocean, Blue Ocean, this is kind of an example of that. Those categories became red oceans. So a blue ocean is kind of like there are no sharks in the waters, and so there's no blood. There hasn't been much competition that's creating the blood that creates those red oceans. Back then, 30, 40, 50 years ago, that's how those niches were. And eventually more coaches came into those markets, more coaches were competing with each other, and eventually those categories became red ocean categories. And so what happened was coaches started to niche down and get specific with, for example, coaches helping people with health using the paleo diet, coaches helping people with their health with intermittent fasting, people helping people with their wealth using property specifically or stocks. And so those categories became more specific, therefore creating more little mini blue oceans where coaches would operate in and dominate. And so they became the only people in that field and therefore became the specialist in that field. And so there are 2 ways of actually finding your niche. The first one is vertically and the second one is horizontally. So vertically could be that you're specializing in a certain industry, a category where people are operating in, right? That's more for business to business. Horizontally can mean you're specializing in the mechanism. So for example, a specialist in NLP, or a specialist in Facebook ads, or a specialist in any kind of mechanism on how to achieve an end result. Now, the sweet spot, if you're just starting out, is to niche down using both those ways. So vertically and horizontally. For example, you could be a business coach that's specializing with using NLP, or you can be a CrossFit coach that specializes using the paleo diet. They're just examples, right? But using those two ways to find your niche is very powerful, and the more specific that you can get when you're starting out gives you the opportunity to dominate that particular field. Now, I'm going to give you a set of questions on how to actually figure this out for yourself, because it's not just about finding your niche, it's about the alignment with your purpose. I'm going to give you 5 questions to ask yourself right now to figure out what's your niche. What are you going to be comfortable with working the most? The first one is, what are you actually interested in? For me, I've always had a passion for the fitness industry. I've always been into the gym. And so I specialize as a strength trainer, a strength coach at one point in my career. I had most of my career in online marketing. And so I combined my marketing experience with my passion for fitness, and I started coaching fitness people. That's question number 1. What are you actually interested in? Question number 2 is, what experience do you have as a child? What did you grow up with that comes naturally to you? Again, like I said, my experience as a child was always being active. I was always involved in different kinds of sports. And so for me, that came naturally. Number 3, what are you actually good at? Yeah. So you don't want to have just things that you're interested in, because you need to be able to get results. And so what are you actually good at? Number 4, what clients do you actually enjoy being around? I had a coaching business where I was working with real estate agents, because property is another interest of mine. I have so many different interests, but ultimately I didn't really enjoy the kind of clients that I was attracting. And that's not to say all real estate agents are like that. I didn't feel aligned personally. And so ultimately that led me to coaches, which I love being around, because we're making an impact. And finally, the last question is, what do you maybe already have good results doing in? Have you worked with clients in the past where you've already got results, where you can use as a case study or a testimonial to get more clients that are just like that? And keep in mind, ultimately, you don't have to stick with this niche. You can start there, build the business that you want to build, and then evolve from there and grow from there. So if you like this video, give me a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.